The Battle of Patan was fought on 20 June 1790 between the Maratha Empire and the Rajputs of Jaipur and Jodhpur, which resulted in a decisive Maratha victory. Stakeholders: the forces of Rajputs had 12,000 Rath or cavalry, 6,000 from Jaipur, 5,000 Mughals under Ismail Beg, 2,000 under Aligarh Beg Khan, 12,000 men on foot with 100 pieces of artillery, 5,000 foot soldiers with Ismail Khan with 21 pieces of artillery, 4,000 rowers, 5,000 fakirs called Vatals and Brakis and Rajput Sibandes with 8 cannon and 4,000 Meena soldiers. At the battlefield, the Maratha army was 10,000 strong with additional Maratha soldiers on the outer flanks. The battle. For over 3 weeks, nothing was affected between the two armies. On 19 June, Ismail Beg expressed his intentions of attacking the Maratha lines. By this time, his Rajput allies had come to his aid. General Burgoyne proceeded to advance to encounter the Mughals with all his force the following morning. Burgoyne's disciplined brigade and artillery guns formed the spearhead of Maratha attack and occupied the central position in the Maratha lines. The Maratha captains Zambaji Ingle and Balaji Ingle commanded the left wing whilst Holkars commanded the right wing. Gopal Bauk commanded the Deccan cavalry which formed the centre. The armies faced each other in east-west direction along a straight line. Ismail Beg's contingent formed the southern wing of Rajput Mughal combine. It was followed by Rath or horsemen and Abdul Mantalab's battalions. Bulk of the Rajput cavalry was concentrated in the centre of wing. The left wing was formed entirely by Jaipur Nagas. The alliance had over 125 artillery pieces at its disposal. They were placed in 3 rows, one before Ismail Beg, one before Matlab and the remaining one the trenches of Jaipur Nagas. Maratha artillery under Burgoyne's brigade, though smaller in number, was more rapid, accurate and mobile than the one in possession of their adversaries. Battle of Patan began in the form of sporadic skirmishes and evolved into an all-out battle only at its end. The command of Rajput Mughal army was disunited and had no concrete plan of action. It was this lack of organization that was instrumental in a decisive Maratha victory, as the Marathas had the initiative and the element of surprise on the side. At the onset of the battle, neither side was in haste to come to grips. The Maratha army took up arms at the daybreak and advanced 4 miles westwards from the camps to the mouth of the pass leading to Patan. But it took their adversaries over a quarter of a day to take up positions on the hill overlooking the pass. However, hostilities didn't break out for 6 more hours. It was Ekadashi, an auspicious day in the Hindu calendar. Hindu soldiers on both sides were observing a religious fast. Exchange of fire during this period occurred only between the Muslim soldiers on both sides. Ambushed by the Marathas, at dusk, Rajputs and the Muslim allies retired to the respective camps. The Maratha army, however, held its positions at the mouth of the pass. The real battle, however, precipitated in the evening by an unforeseen skirmish. Some Maratha Pindaris from the left wing of Maratha lines managed to seize animals that were a part of Ismail Beg's contingent. This inevitably led to a small skirmish with Ismail Beg's men. A Muslim force hurried out to the rescue of the cattle, and then Balaji Ingle with 2,000 horsemen fell on the newcomers, and a severe confused fight raged for an hour. Next, Ismail Beg, in spite of his fever, which had had been doubled by the sun's heat, took horse, headed a charge and drove the Marathas out of the Allied lines by his reckless personal bravery. A general fire was now opened on Scindia's army by all the Confederate artillery, but it did little execution on account of the long range. Next, Gopal Bhau sends them squadrons to skirmish against the Rathas in the center. These masters of Pashtun tactics, after a little demonstration, pretended to give way. The Rathas followed in reckless pursuit at full gallop with loud cries of victory, leaving the sheltered position on the heights. As soon as they descended into the plain and came within range, General Burgoyne directed his guns on them. This deadly fire mowed down hundreds among the dense masses. Burgoyne had armed his sepoy musketeers with the bayonet, a weapon entirely unknown till then in Rajputana, and against it the Rajput swords clashed in vain, as the Baluchi swords were to do against Napier's bayonets at the Battle of Miani half a century later. The remnant fled back to the hills. Then the artillery of Abdul Matlab was seized, which was completely taken by surprise and could offer no resistance. Gopal Bhau and Burgoyne, sensing victory, went for the kill. Marathas descended upon enemy camps. Taken aback by the suddenness and the ferocity of the Maratha attack, Rajput resistance capitulated. The Jaipur Nagas held on to the positions before finally being overwhelmed at around 9 p.m. in the night. Maratha victory and gains. All that night and for the next day, the relentless pursuit was kept up by the Maratha horsemen, and the famished, thirsty, tired Rajput fugitives were butchered unresisting. The enemy's trained battalions did not share the flight of the Rajput horse, but took refuge in Patan city, and surrendered with its surrender. No victory could be more complete. All the property, guns and arms of the Confederates left in the field or in the camps were captured. Rajput horsemen managed to flee into the countryside, but the trained Mughal and Rajput battalions took refuge in the Patan city. All the arms and property of Rajput-Mughal alliance left in the field was captured. On the 22nd of June, Burgoyne went with some guns to the gates of Patan city and threatened its ruler, Raja Sampat Singh, with bombardment. The Raja was powerless to resist. Some battalion commanders managed to flee, but most battalion commandants along with 2,000 cavalry and 10,000 sepoys surrendered. General Burgoyne then proceeded to lay a siege to the fort of Patan. The defenders of the fort gave up within 6 hours, and all the wealth of Patan fell into the hands of victors, including the ornaments and mukut of Maharaja Yudhishthira, the patrican ancestor to the Tanwar kings of Patan. Marathas recovered over 105 pieces of artillery from the enemy, along with 21 elephants, 8,000 flintlocks, 1,300 camels and 300 horses, besides many lakhs worth of other kinds of property. Rajputs lost over 5 battalions and 3,000 Rath or horsemen. As for Ismail Beg's army, in words of Sajjadunath Sarkar, Ismail Beg's fine army was practically annihilated. It ceased to exist as a military unit and lost all its arms, equipments, tents, baggage and even cooking pots. The aftermath. Pitted against European armed and French-trained Marathas, Rajput states capitulated one after the other. Marathas managed to conquer Ajmer and Malwa from Rajputs, although Jaipur and Jodhpur remained unconquered. Battle of Patan effectively ended Rajput hopes for independence from external interference. Sajjadunath Sarkar notes, for the day of Patan to the 2nd of April 1818, when Jaipur entered into protective subsidiary alliance with the British government, lay the gloomiest period in the history of Jaipur kingdom. His victory increased Scindia's influence with the Peshwas in Pune, the seat of Maratha government, and firmly established Maratha influence in Rajputana. Marathas on the part lost over 52 cavaliers and 300 sepoys. No chief fell on either side, though report arose that Gangaram Bandari, the Jodhpur generalissimo, had been killed. Only 2 of Scindia's officers were wounded, but only slightly so. For the lost field of Patan, Mirza Ismail Beg fled with only 14 horsemen, and by hard riding reached the city of Jaipur on the next day. The others who shared his defeat followed the same westward path. Shivram Bandari and Shamal went to Samba. All trace of Gangaram Bandari, the Marwari generalissimo who had brought 5,000 more cavalry with him, was lost for 3 days, after which he too made his way to Samba. Sutlal Haldia, the Jaipur representative in the battle, hastened back to his own capital.